Yeah, how you doing?
call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Directors Wednesday, August 3rd, 2022 at 12:06. Their roll call, Ms. Thompson.
Good morning, Board of Directors. May we begin? Director Carpenter.
Present.
Director Coker.
Present.
Director Cunningham. Director Davis.
Present.
Director Evans. Director Minor.
Present.
Director Parker.
Here.
Chair Smith.
Present.
So you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Director Jones.
Pardon?
Thank you, Mr. Director Jones, on this. I know it's not here.
Director Jones.
We're going to have an invocation and pledge allegiance by Director Parker.
Pray. Our Father in heaven, thank you for today, life, putting us together. We ask, Father, that we would receive our deliberations and decisions that we make here for citizens of this city and all the cities in this country. Lord, in Jesus' name we pray. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We need to vote to adopt the agenda of the day. Is there a motion?
Second.
The move is properly second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The adoption of the agenda has been adopted. We need a motion to adopt the minutes of July 6, 2022.
Chairman, I move that the minutes of July 6, 2021 be adopted as
Yes, sir.
Second.
Been moved and properly second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That item passes. Today, we're going to look and see if we have any public comments. There's no one on the list. Today, I'm going to give a small chairman's report, I guess. So, let people know that we just came back from Salt Lake City. And we had a board members meeting down there with board assistants meeting too, so administrators. So we had a good lesson that we learned down there, that they think that you all are the up and coming agency of the transportation community. And that's after, that's our group, okay? So they think y'all the up and coming agency. They really pushing Birmingham. I mean, they allowed us to be moderators. They allowed us to speak on what we did to move the agency back to where it is now. I want you to know that they really think you all are doing a great job. And so I'm appreciative of that. One other thing I want to say, the World Games, I mean, y'all did it. Y'all knocked it out, okay? I just want to say how much I'm pleased to know you all, because this was something I wasn't anticipating, but you all knocked it out. And I want to say I appreciate that to the very heart, okay? So that's my comments for this session. We brought a lot of stuff back from Salt Lake City. They said that we are probably about 90%. We're going to be location for the meeting next year, which holds about 250 people, board members and administrative assistants. So we have that to come next year. And it's a big surprise that they chose Birmingham. So in Seattle, they'll vote on it. So I want you all to know that. Thanks. We have a report from TCAP.
it's good to be here. You might remember that, okay. Thanks a lot, yeah. Oh. Okay, thanks a lot. You might remember that TCAP is working on getting some money into the public transit trust fund so it can begin to function. We're working with Alabama Rise to advocate for the legislature to put $20 million into the fund from the American Rescue Plan funds that haven't been allocated yet. Alabama is getting about $1 billion more from the American Rescue Plan. Rise told us recently that a special session to allocate the funds won't happen until around the first of the year, 2023. Not sure why that is, but no. So that gives us time to advocate for that with the legislature. We recently read articles that said Montgomery and Huntsville are hoping to improve and enlarge their public transit. That got me thinking about that. Where does their optimism for that come from? We're planning a Zoom forum to discuss that in a few weeks. We haven't set the date yet. We have members from Huntsville and Montgomery that are coming, and we hope to get some from BJCTA as well. Their systems seem to be structured differently from BJCTA. Both are departments of their city government rather than separate government agencies. I think if we want to improve transit for Alabamians, we need to bring all the transit agencies together to discuss what works and what doesn't. We at TCAP would also like to have a more detailed understanding of the way BJCTA's funding works. On another point, TCAP is hoping to have our monthly meetings in person here at the Intermodal again, rather than on Zoom, starting in September. We found we get more participation from bus riders in person online. We also plan to resume outreach activities like voter registration at Central Station City. I recently attended a meeting of the Greater Birmingham Council of Illinois with our member John Northwood. The president of the council named joining TCAP. He told us we need to make TCAP's Facebook page more accessible to people with vision limitations and set up a regular website. Facebook is often difficult for people with vision limitations. It's a vision needing. And I'd like to ask if J.O. and Martha have anything to add to what I said.
Well, I just wanted to say that we would love for you to visit our TCAP Facebook page. And most particularly, we would love to have you participate in our monthly meetings. We meet right now via Zoom on the first Saturday in each month. You will, if you would visit our TCAP page, you'll see many of the activities and exhibits that we have made and put together, because we sincerely would love to have transit statewide, and we would like to have people throughout the state join us. I don't know if you know this, but we have a petition that is tailored for the state, so that all 67 counties, people from all 67 counties can sign the petition, and it's to the legislators asking them for funding. I don't know if they all have anything, but please, we'd love you to be supportive of us, because we are the Transit Citizens Advisory Board, and we'd like citizens besides a few of us working for
Good afternoon. I'm going to do something that's kind of strange. You know, TCAB has been reporting for 9 years. And I was the president for those 9 years, or the chairman. So my report is going to be about TCAB this morning. It's very short. I want to thank Ted, Ms. Margaret, and the rest of TCAB for the work that they were doing. And the subject that we started out with when I left office. I just stepped back, didn't quit, and resigned anything. I wanted to give somebody else a chance to lead. And I give Ted credit. He's doing a wonderful job. Even though we used to sit out here, his knees would be knocking, I thought he was playing some kind of game. But he has come a long ways, and he is really pushing. And when we have our meetings, I don't have to say too much, because they're really carrying the meeting, so I'm just sitting there. If I have a comment, I say it. But they're doing a wonderful job. And one more thing, we work with Alabama Rides. They put in a petition for every organization that represents transportation to sign online a letter to be sent to the governor, which has already been sent, about transportation. We had 82 organizations to sign that petition, and that letter did go to the governor, that we want money for transportation. We want the state to support public transportation. And I'd like to say hello to all of those I haven't seen in a while, so I'm still around. I am J.O. Hill, for y'all to do it, but ex-chairman of TCAB. Thank you so much.
Thanks, J.O. Any questions or comments about what we said?
But I think we need to sit down and let them know how we got funding.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Your funding, you said you want to know how we get funded.
Yeah, we'd like to have a little more detailed presentation on, how federal funding works, particularly for BJCTA, because it sounds like it's very complex.
Okay, staff is going to give it to you now.
There's several parts of the government funded, you just don't know which.
Yeah.
I just want you to know, next time they'll say TCAB, Ted, because I was trying to get all that.
Okay, I'll send that.
We thank you all.
Thanks. Thank you.
I also want to say a little bit about Salt Lake City, because we just left, so I'm going to get a little bit off kilter. But Salt Lake City was a city of about 199,000 people, which is similar to Birmingham. And their metropolitan area is about 1.5. And ours is roughly the same. But they own that third BRT project. They have light rail. They have so many things going on in that city that is being paid for transit. And people are using. I mean, light rail, I see them coming home with bikes, and they get off and they ride to their location. And it's packed. I mean, it's packed. So I'm thinking that transit is something that is needed. It just has to be in the right direction, put in the right place. And we have to find the funding for it. So we keep on looking. We have the BRT discussion.
Good morning. Good morning. Me, Gail Service, Director of Capital Projects Department for the City of Birmingham. So we only have 4 slides today, since we're on the downside of this project. So for the West Transit, it is still 98% complete. And just to give you an idea, right now, testing and integration is actually in process, as well as facility integration activities. The fixed furniture and equipment and the signage packages are still in progress, but it will not impede our ability to operate the systems. We have a workaround plan for both of those items. Same thing for East Transit. Testing and integration is in process. The fixed furniture and signage are in progress as well. For the roadway and transit stations, they are 98% complete. We are working through the final punch list right now, and testing integration is in progress. And we are actually coordinating for the striping change order that we processed basically. We did some east striping for east that we put back in the project when we realized we had enough money. For the last slide, which is the last slide, you can see the details of the amenity packages, 90% complete. And to go to the end, we're actually looking at the punch list on those. And those are the benches and the trash receptacles that you see. The signage package is 65% complete. You see temporary signage now that looks permanent, so that's how well it looks, but we will have permanent signage that's being fabricated right now. The fixed furniture package is 50% complete. We do have a delivery schedule for that. I do not know that schedule right now, but we do have it scheduled for it. The ticket vending machine, the 3 that we're going to install, that has been installed now, is 50% complete, and right now, they are going through testing. The passenger information system is 85% complete. Installation and testing is underway right now. So we just gotta get through testing on all of these items, and we'll be ready. Any questions?
Any questions?
I know that the FTA was here some time ago. What's the results of their work here?
They are, what's the word I'm gonna use? They were absolutely thrilled and impressed with our system. That was what we got every day, that they were skeptical at first, considering what they had been through, but they were absolutely thrilled and impressed with what they see as one of the best systems that they've seen as the comments that we got.
My question is, about what time do you think we're gonna get this? I mean, just a rough, you know what I mean?
So rule of construction that I have with my staff is do not give time dates, but you can give time frames. So right now, we're looking at the end of September. End of September, next month.
So mid-October.
You know what, I'm gonna give you that. We just gotta get through testing, so. And we're working, directly with BJCTA on those testing.
Any more questions? We thank you. Thank you. We don't have any items on the consent calendar, but we do have 2 resolutions I see that we can discuss. Oh, excuse me.
Playing my time. Playing my time.
Go ahead, go ahead. Executive Director.
Well, thank you, and I have a little bit I want to cover today. And I too, like Chair Smith, would like to publicly go out and thank our BJCTA team for stepping into the World Games. And I don't know if you all know the kinds of things that we went through, but just to give you one example, the first night we were all up for 24 hours. And so by the end of the night, or by the end of the next morning, I should say, one of the maintenance guys, actually Will, was picking me up out the chair because I couldn't walk. And Stan, the whole team, operations team, jumped into, we found out there was a crowd in Homewood right before the World Games, right before the opening. And the crowd was bigger than we had anticipated at that time, so it started earlier. And I will tell you, there was about 100 people there. And so I got a call from Nick Sellers, who said, "You got a crowd." And immediately we went into action. And within 20 minutes, we had the buses lined up, going back and forth, and had everybody at the World Games at the opening on time, in time for the opening ceremony. Another example, because I want you to know these examples, because this is not what was picked up in the media, but I want you all to know the kinds of things that your staff has done. The maintenance crew, who all have CDL licenses because it's required, jumped in to help supplement those buses that had to run on the red and yellow line. So we appreciate Billy and his hard work, who never once, not one bus driver, bus operator complained, not one of our managers complained. Trey, I don't think he got any sleep the whole 11 days. He was up by night with the volunteers. Chris Brewster and Lieutenant Gamble worked tirelessly looking at the security, making sure that we were in communication. Sam and her team captured every moment. Tiffany was a liaison for us. Watanji jumped into planning and her team. Stephanie, the C-suite, Dorinda, Gerald, and even the CFO was on the bus that night directing traffic. And so it's not that I'm not calling your names, because all of you all were volunteers, riding, who had to come across miles to get here to be with us. I cannot say enough about this team today. And whoever says that we don't have a culture of teamwork and support, tell them that is not the case. We're strong, we work well together, and I want to tell you guys that I am absolutely proud. And the mayor called me the day after to tell me personally that he was very proud of BJCTA and how we came and stood up at the World Games. Now, Stan, I'll get with you later. I got a complaint, so I'll get with you later. But also, we have some upcoming events, so you all are prepared. We want our board part of these events where we're celebrating our team. We're planning a picnic. We'll get back with you. It's going to be a family day where we're inviting all our families to come out to be a part of this day. And we're going to have that somewhere located, and we'll let you know where that's going to be. Okay, and we're also going to do something amazing that Chair Smith wants to do for the classic football. Am I saying that right? The master class, okay. And we already had our BRT report, but I won't go into that. Dorinda, was there anything you wanted to add about the operational readiness? I think Denise has pretty much covered it.
Yes, she covered it.
Yeah, okay, so that's good. Denise, we thank you for your continued support and working with us and doing, and your leadership over this BRT project to get it to us on time. As you can see, if you look out the window, the CSX platform has been done. And we now have a system to get to the trees so that we can continue to water them so they can continue to look green. But we will get them back in shape. They are not totally gone, but we have difficulty getting up to the platform to ensure that they get watered. But I think Edward has developed a system for that, so we can continue to keep that looking nice, and it's looking very great. The only thing we have left to do is the art piece that we're going to be incorporating, where we're going to have the Pullman's porters. We're going to celebrate them in that particular area. So we have some great plans for that art piece, but that is about 98% done. And it was done in time for the World Games as well. And so let me talk a little bit too about the travel that I just, Stephanie and I just had in Austin at the Transit Initiatives and Community Workshop. So TCAB, I'm coming your way. This is a great opportunity now. I'm glad you had the opportunity to come to us to tell us what you were doing. There's a lot of great things we learned about getting ballots on the measure, on ballot measures on the books and ready for legislation. And so that's probably one of my most favorite after conferences that I have gone to. It was a small conference of about 100 people, but we learned a lot about building a coalition, a PAC, and getting stuff on the ballot and what we have to do. And some transit agencies also shared with us the things that they were doing. And so you'll hear about that more as we put together a plan for that as well. And then we went to Washington, D.C. Last week. I'm gonna allow Perkins to come up and give a little overview of that. We met with all of our senators, and you asked the question the last time we met, would having someone on the federal side help us? I have been trying to get into the FTA leaders for a long time, for months. And absolutely, we got in within 1 week through our federal intergovernmental affairs person. And so I just wanted you to see how that position has made it advantageous for us to talk to some of our leaders in Washington, D.C. But in this meeting, we learned a lot. We have some we have partnerships with Congresswoman Sewell, who's agreed to help us once a month if we get her some information, when we get her the information that she needs. And we're going more into that. But before he talks about that, I do want to mention that we are meeting with you. I'm trying to work out a meeting with each of you separately. Some of the board of directors, you have already gone through the strategic process, the strategic plan that we are reviewing and evaluating and developing right now. And so we are making individual appointments with you. So look for our calls this week and hopefully get you in next week. We're also planning a board retreat so that we can further have those discussions and talk about my year that is coming up. I have an anniversary in October, and so we're going to be talking about the first year under my administration, as well as developing and showing you what we have developed, the nuts and the bolts of the strategic plan and the 5-year capital and operating budget. So not only in going into FY23, where you have an annual plan, but you are going to see what we want to do and what our suggestions are over the next 5 years, including our capital plan and our operating plan and our new possible revenue development. So we have a list of things to share with you. I think you'll be very pleased. Not only have we found that people now notice in Birmingham, but they too consider us as an agency to watch, as an agency who has come from a long way, and they are calling, they being other transit agencies and our peers. Can you believe they're calling us for advice? Isn't that interesting? That's wonderful. So it just shows all the hard work that you all have put in as board members and the hard work that we're putting in to really change the image and the direction of this company. And then finally, if you would jot these dates down, the board retreat we're trying for in Auburn. We'll get Tiffany to help work with us on this. But let us know if September the 15th and the 16th works for you all. And if it does not, let us know. We'll coordinate some times with you that will. But we would like some time before the committee meeting in September to have the board retreat. That's going to be real important that we get all of the board of directors 100% participation at that board retreat meeting, because we will be covering a lot of stuff for the retreat. And the C-suite will be out for one night on for 2 days, August the 11th and August the 12th. Okay, and so we will be local, but we will not be in the office because we will be finalizing all of the plans we need to review at the upcoming September and September and October meetings. Okay, so it's going to be real important that we get you at the board retreat. So I'll turn it over to Perkins.
Directors, good afternoon now. My name is Darryl Perkins. I be a consultant for you. I thought it was important to do this quick handout to just show you who we actually met with. I won't go into great detail, click on the front page, we all know some details why he is leaving. We did meet with his chief of staff, who that's bringing Watson Donald. Went to Tuckerville's office, met with the senior policy advisor. However, I did leave Washington, go to the Business Council of Alabama conference in Point Hood this weekend. There, Kay Britt was there, as you would imagine, so I sat down with Kay for a few minutes. Recognizing there is an election in November, so she's not official yet, but as a pragmatic matter, she will be the next senator going forward. So Tuckerville was after that, so I pulled him aside for a few minutes. Didn't meet him in his office, so we got him in Point Clear just to let him know we were there, and we would come back to speak to him directly once we had some more things solidified. He was very open to that. And so was his policy advisor in the meeting. On that next page, we actually met with Gary Palmer. We've known Gary for a while. He gave us quite a bit of time. He was very gracious with his time and his senior staff. Knew about our director, knew what we tried to do, agreed with a lot of things we were working on. Quite frankly, he wanted to push it further in some areas. I thought that was a very solid meeting for somebody who and you recognize, remember, Gary actually came to our main facility about 3 years ago and spent about 2 hours touring. So he remembered that meeting. And so he is well aware of what our immediate needs are and supporting. Of course, our dear friend Terry gave us the most time, as you would imagine. Again, very gracious. She brought her interns in. She brought all of her staff in. It was like homecoming almost. Everywhere we went, including the next couple of pages I talked to, our director was very well received. I'll say two things. When we walked in that meeting, particularly as we go to the next page, and our administrator Fernandez, not only do they know about us in advance, not only do they know about Randall Woodford in advance, they know our mayor, like him personally, know him personally. That set the stage. They knew, in some cases, they knew of our director. In a lot of cases, they knew her personally. Again, it cuts to a whole lot of clutter when you have that information in front where we know who she is. We know why she's coming, and we want her in this room. That was important. They wanted us coming. They wanted to help us. And she did everything you can imagine to set the stage, particularly with Administrator Fernandez, to set the stage for doing more work with FTA. Again, our mayor set the big stage for us. But we came in and absolutely came in and put all the tenets in place to say, okay, we got this coming, we already have this one, and here are the things that's coming next. What we've seen with those folks is once, like anything else, once you get the relationship, and once you have a little success, that leads to a bigger success. So, as I told you once, I can't guarantee what will happen. I can only guarantee we're putting things in place to make it work. Now, some things are out of control, some things we can't predict, but we're doing everything we can to have proper outcomes, both from a relationship standpoint, a grant standpoint, and just furthering out our standpoint. Administrator Fernandez, which is very gracious with us. I think Paul Kincaid came to Birmingham, if I remember. Randall Pete Benjamin, young man did not know, but our federal guy, Dan Gresham, doing very well from Howard. He talked through some things that I was not aware of, that there have been some changes in the funding format that we may be able to take advantage of. So those kind of things you don't get unless you're there in the room and they talk you through it. And so Paul Kincaid, we've been around for a while, and he's a married employee, so he's been there. He's agreed to help us through the process along with Mr. Benjamin. I think that's it. So what I would say to you, as I kind of take questions if you have them, is our executive director walking the room. She did a lot more than just a quicker search real well. The team did slam dunks. They were impressed. Now we have to do the next stage, which is follow-up, which is give them good projects to fund, and then we have to implement the project. And that leads to another one, and another one, and another one. So with that, I will stop talking and take any questions, but I will say again, Stephanie, executive director, they were rock stars, so they really were. One, two, I will tell you, as my preacher would say.
At this moment in time, would it be appropriate for the coach to take a risk about what they have to let?
So, we talked briefly, just as a matter of protocol, because there is a November election, and we want to honor the process, I think it's appropriate to have off the side conversation with her, but not in a formal manner. We do want to honor the political process. But she's aware. We talked to Kate maybe 5-6 minutes. As you can imagine, you know, everybody was standing in line for her, but we're going for a while, so she'll be good. She'll be there. Directors.
Any more questions?
And then just let me add that I'm gonna give you all a copy of the same thing that we gave out in DC. It's a good, quick, cheat sheet. It tells you what we're doing, where we're going, what our current budget is, what our competencies are, how many buses we have, what our current situation is in terms of how many municipalities we serve, and what our current projects are. And I do want to mention that while we were there, Stephanie stayed up all night to submit the TOD. We made the deadline for July 25th. She submitted that while we were in DC to the FTA. And so not only did we just win the routing grant that we just won for new routes and reviewing our routes, we also are working today with RPC, where we requested an Apple study for express services, and they have agreed to do it for us, and that's a $62,000 project. And so we're going to kick that off today as well to allow for some of the new revenue that we're looking at. But I'm just, again, these relationships are paying off. And the other thing that the FTA asked for, FTA asked, what can we do for you? That's what Noah asked us. And quickly, Perkins jumped in, and it's always good to have some good winning folk, because you can't think of everything. And he said, well, we need quick wins. And she said, the way you all are going, your planning has exceeded far expectation and what most people come in this office with. And she said, you need quick wins, and I don't see you not getting quick wins. And so, like I told the team, at this point, we have the catcher's mitt, and the ball is coming. And we have to catch the ball, because we're going to get it. If we don't get it now, it's coming. And so, the key is that we have the relationships, and while that ball is on the way, we have to be prepared to catch it.
I want to thank our Government Affairs Director, Darryl Perkins, and Danny Gresham for their help in getting this, us in the building. And Ms. Shaw, thank you for being so good when you got there. And Ms. Walker, appreciate you spending all that time getting the paperwork in. All right. So, we're moving. I'm hoping we keep on. This is looking good. Ms. Thompson, can you play the tape? No, I'm just kidding. I was going to go back over the consent calendar. I wanted to play the tape of what I already said. But we go over it and get this in. All right, we have no items on the consent calendar. We have 2 resolutions that I see. And so, first resolution is 2022-36. So that you can read it for us, Ms. Thompson.
Yes, sir. Resolution 2022-36, approval of a resolution authorizing the executive director, CEO, or her delegate to enter into a lease agreement with OLE Enterprises LLC for the lease of retail space located in the Birmingham Intermodal Facility.
Is there a motion? We need a motion to discuss that. Is there a second? Been moved and properly second. Is there any discussion on this item? Oh, I gotta get the vote on first, I'm sorry. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Is there any discussion on this item? I have one question. Is there, anything in the contract that stipulates how many days she has to be in operations? And,
How many days she has to be in operation?
yeah, that it has to be open and serving the public?
No, it's,
Okay, all right. And is there any option for us to get out of the contract, in that contract?
we can go under the options of termination for convenience.
Okay.
Should we want to do that, but, we do have the right as a public agency to terminate convenience or terminate for default.
Yeah, for default, I don't think it's for convenience, terminate, she has to default in some way for us to terminate the contract.
I got you. So we're not putting any stipulation on how many days she has to be on open for operation?
We did not.
Is there any way for us to add that?
We have not signed the contract, we can go back, I'll have to consult with our legal team to see if we can do that.
I think we could open discussions with them we haven't finalized the contract yet.
Mr. Chairman, typically, when we're looking at that space, what they're paying us for is the space. Internally, how they operate around their businesses and their hours of operation. We have that discussion, but that's not something that we've kind of done in the past with other tenants. If that's an issue, that you have a concern about, we can have that discussion with them about what the hours are.
I think we need to discuss what those hours are.
I was concerned, I think, during the pandemic, I know that technical business like that, and we agreed to do a reduced rate, that's fine. But the few times I walked past her, it appeared she was doing work other than being a food space. I saw furniture in there that appeared to be stored or being worked on. And that is, you say we rent a space, but there's a purpose for that space. And in my opinion, it should not be for doing other things other than serving food. It's not a workshop, in my opinion. And I don't want our facilities to project that image. So that's my comment. You may be cleaned up by now, I don't know, I haven't walked by there.
So, what do you want to do with the contract at this point?
I hear from other board members, they can be in people. Won't get a point ahead, but we need to keep the same in mind, because I want to have more space in the future for rent. We've got to be very astute in our planning for the use of those spaces and how we're going to live, how we're going to continue to operate.
Yeah, we are talking about that now. We're gonna identify a contract owner who would actually be working with her more directly. Not only for us to communicate, for her to communicate with us and what our expectations are, but for us to communicate with her as well about repairs and things of that nature that may be happening on our part. So we need an owner, and so we have identified someone who's going to be directly responsible for that particular contract.
We're in the process of building an outstanding image
Absolutely.
and brand and demonstrate and fix that.
I think it's just time to sit down and have a conversation, so we make sure that we're giving her what she needs to be successful too. And so I think if we work together and take a partnership approach like we are doing now, we probably will, let her know the kinds of expectations our board has and that we have, and that we'll work together to make sure that she's successful so that we can look successful as well.
Yeah, you can do it in a positive way.
Yeah, absolutely. That's right.
So,
Call questions,
all right.
I have a question. So is this space is just the one over at the intermodal, not the one at, I know she had two spaces, so
Right.
we're just talking about one?
We're just talking about the one that is located down in the central station. She has agreed to give up the space that is in the intermodal that is downstairs with Amtrak. And so that was part of our negotiation and negotiating with the police.
So we're gonna put an RFP out on another location soon, right?
Yes, we have been looking at one of Ms. Shaw's, and Ms. Shivers first came on board, and we have talked to, different people about certain.
And we have, and don't forget, we have 2 locations now. And once we receive the BRT, we'll have the east that we have to also discuss on what we're gonna use for that building.
Hopefully that part is work that we put on foundation.
Absolutely. Been in discussions with them, so when we have our one-on-ones, you'll see more of that. You'll hear more of that.
There's a motion on the floor. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm gonna abstain on this one. That motion passes.
Thank you.
Yes, we've got 2 more resolutions. We have resolution 22-37.
Resolution 2022-37, approval of a resolution authorizing the executive director, CEO, for her delegate to execute a contract modification with Nahanala Jones to exercise the second option year of the current contract to serve as the market manager for the Birmingham Central Market. The annual cost for this second option year will not exceed $27,000.
Need a motion and a second for discussion.
Do we have any, data about how well that site will be?
We can answer that question once we get the motion and second.
Make the motion.
The move,
Second.
the second.
So my question.
And I'm not sure, but that's a good question. I'm gonna let Sam come down, and she's working directly with, the marketplace.
Good morning, Chair and Directors. Well, we do receive a monthly report, and we can start providing that to you. I will say that COVID has impacted the performance of the market and also the number of days that they have of service. We are starting to see some of that increase once again, but there has been, a decrease in the level of interaction that they receive. One of the things that does perform really well is their SNAP Bucks program, which in some cases they get the SNAP Bucks that allow people that come to the market to purchase more at our market than they could at a regular food store. And for some of them, we allow them to double up those bucks. So there is a community, and we can definitely provide information to you on that directly, but there is a community that does utilize that program, and specifically that coupon program. They utilize it a lot to purchase more for the dollar.
Let me ask you a question, please. The SNAP program, does majority of our people know about it? And do they qualify for it?
It is a pretty popular program. We also work with Pepper Place to promote it as well. But we could definitely work to provide more information about it. But it is a pretty common program where they do apply to receive enrollment.
I think if we get some of that information out. So
Sure.
that won't be concerned. Thanks. Any more discussion on this item? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? This item passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have one more resolution, that's 2022-38.
Resolution 2022-38, authorization to adopt the revisions to the Equal Employment Opportunity Program and policy in accordance with the Equal Employment Opportunity provisions of the federal law, including Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964.
I need a motion and a second for discussion. The vote is Is there a second?
Second.
The second is, do we have somebody here that could, start on an explanation on this item?
See, pretty much where I want to start at is that I apologize right out of the gate, because we didn't have this format set up for you to review prior to getting it. But the important part of this, I think, is that this resolution that you're voting on is simply an opportunity for us to submit our program, it is a 4-year program, to the FTA for their review and consideration, any concern. They'll shoot that back. We'll go through that. If there's any areas that need to adjust or whatever, we'll do so. And then we'll get a final package, and I can assure you, you will have that prior to final approval on that. This resolution is just so that we can submit to Trans and get that through the process so we can begin having the review by the FDA. But the program itself is a 4-year program. We are in place now, replacing the one that was in place for the 2022 year. So from 22 to 24 is what we're working, or 25 is what we're working on right now. It basically just asks that we look at our employment status based on the EEOC numbers that we have. We pull those numbers out of our current employee-based system through FleetNet, we put them in the spreadsheet, and then we compare to what we call our primary recruiting demographics for the Jefferson County area. And in doing so, we will identify a few areas that we need to concentrate on our recruiting efforts for females and minorities. So we're working hard in that area. We wanted to make sure that we have a plan set for the next 4 years. It's in the program. We've got the checkpoints in there, the reviews, the audits, all of those proposed items in there. They're going to look at it, and once we get that there, they will respond back to any concerns that they may have, and we will address them, finalize the document, and then we'll bring it back and final approval. So, yeah, and do that. And again, I apologize for the document. I think it's page 12 or 14, or was it, what's exactly? It's got the graph, the areas of concern, and the proposal. Yes. Yes, page 12 is the overall demographics, the primary recruiting area for Jefferson based on the 2020 U.S. Census. And when you put that information into our spreadsheet for looking for areas of concern, that's on page 14. The rest of the highlighted areas where we need to focus concerns is page 14. And then on the projected increases, those are the areas that we're going to look at and trying to enhance that recruiting opportunity for minorities and females.
Any questions? I just wanted to add that you said there was a deadline on this.
That is correct. The deadline was originally back in March. With the transition, I was able to contact the FDA representative, working with Keisha and Mr. Alford, and we were able to work out an extension. And the extension is as August 5th to get your original proposal in. We'll get that, and then she'll review whatever concerns you have. We'll make more recommendations as we need to. If there's a star in this, I'm not looking for one or whatever, is we won't have to do this again for another 4 years. So the idea of gathering the data that we did great. The staff was very supportive, Mr. Alford and his team, my group, Keisha and the rest of the group in getting all this together based on the information we had from the previous 4 years. So we look back, and there'll be structural changes, the changes in administrative leadership. Overall, there was a lot of negotiating, trying to find information to put in this package. So they worked well together. We got this together. We think it will work. Again, I can't speak for the FDA, so I don't know what concerns they may or may not have.
But it's really an update based on consensus, right? So, and some of the areas that you'll see the deficiencies are really by industry though, because if you think about operators, for example. It is standard to see more male operators than female operators. So the FTA does not make us deficient because we didn't meet it. These are just goals for us to meet, and this is not a new policy. It's an update based on those consensus numbers. So it's something that they hit. Is it every 4 years? Every 4 years.
Any more questions?
So the only update is just this, a couple pages then, or the other?
Well, there were other modifications based on page change numbers with reference information. We updated the EEOC compliance to be my responsibility, removing from the previous. We had to modify, excuse me, the policy statement to get a new CEO signature form in there. So there's a few of those, what I call detailed issues, just kind of fixing those points up to make them match what we had previously.
And Director Minor, before you, for the next, after the FTA's review of this resolution to get it to the FTA, when we finalize it, we will have an annotation for you to know what those changes were.
Okay. And then, I assume, our outside counsel can look at this too?
Yes, they can.
With that, is there any more questions on this item? If not, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? That item passed.
Thank you very much.
On the signing today. We have any old business? In the new business category, I have one item. Before we adjourn. And that's going to be that we have to get a committee together for your annual review, evaluation. So just let you know ahead of time. So we're going to talk with some board members, and we're going to get the ones that have the time to help with the evaluation, and we give it to the attorney. All right. So that's new business item.
Is there a time period for that? I'd like to be able to do the accomplishments and the report to you prior to that evaluation. So is there a time period you have to do that in, or will I be able to present that to you first?
Well, you know, annual is after you did your year, so
Okay.
you become
I have time.
report.
Okay.
So we're
Just checking.
Okay. We're not gonna cut you. All right. If there's no other new business, we're going to adjourn.
I do have one question, and that is, can we move the 17th meeting to the 24th? Would that be a problem to move that committee meeting? We will actually, some of us will be out of town, Brenda and I will be out of town for the After Technology Convention.
September or
August 24th.
I don't see the problem with
Is that okay? Okay.
that. Make sure we get it out in time. So
Absolutely, absolutely.
so
Committee meeting. Right. Maybe the
Do
after.
you guys update the calendar like?
Good for you, Director Davis? Okay. Director Davis?
Would not work for me, but I don't want to hold it all up if it works for everybody else.
Thank you.
we have time. Okay, so if nothing else to come up, we're going to adjourn. Everybody agree with the adjournment? Yes. I will adjourn. Thank you.
How's it going?
Yes,